They claim that they're concerned about TSA officers and others working without pay. But, Mr. President, talk is cheap.
As the growing tension in Washington, John Thune delivered a blunt message to Democrats: enough is enough. His call for lawmakers to get serious about funding the Department of Homeland Security isn't just political rhetoric, it reflects a deeper standoff over national security, immigration, and government spending priorities. At the heart of this issue is DHS funding, which supports everything from border security and counterterrorism to disaster response and cybersecurity. Without proper funding, these critical operations risk disruption, and Thune is making it clear he believes Democrats are not treating the situation with the urgency it demands. Make sure you listen till the end, otherwise, you might miss it when it cuts off.
Mr. President, enough is enough. Republicans have bent over backward to negotiate with Democrats. And now Democrats need to get serious about funding the Department of Homeland Security. Now, let's just review things for a minute here, Mr. President. In January, Republicans and Democrats in the House and the Senate reached an agreement on the Department of Homeland Security funding bill, including a number of reforms: de-escalation training for immigration and customs enforcement officers, increased funding for body cameras, and increased oversight of border security and immigration enforcement funding. The Democrats reneged on that agreement. Republicans said, okay, we'll reopen negotiations. The White House offered up a robust list of additional reforms. And Democrats said no. And then over the weekend, Democrats suggested that they would agree to fund the entire department with the exception of immigration enforcement operations. And we offered them a bill to do exactly that. And Democrats still refused. Mr. President, it seems that Democrats have no interest in reaching an agreement. Many of them are perfectly willing to leave the Department of Homeland Security unfunded for the long term. They claim that they want to fund the department. They claim that they're concerned about TSA officers and others working without pay. But, Mr. President, talk is cheap, and their actions belie their words. If Democrats cared about TSA officers, if they cared about Coast Guard employees, if they cared about the vital work of the Department of Homeland Security, then they would be getting serious about closing a deal, not ceaselessly offering up the same unchanging list of demands like a broken record or a particularly nightmarish version of Groundhog Day. Mr. President, last fall, Democrats shut down the entire federal government for a record-breaking 43 days. Their Department of Homeland Security shutdown is now on its 41st day, which means that thanks to Democrats, TSA agents have spent almost half of the fiscal year working without pay. Let that sink in for a minute, Mr. President. Thanks to Democrats, TSA agents have spent almost half of this fiscal year working without pay. It's no wonder they're quitting in droves. Or that, as an NBC article yesterday reported, they've been reduced to things like selling blood and plasma. Yep, blood and plasma. That's from an NBC article, just to get by. And all of this, Mr. President, all of this because Democrats have been unwilling to consider anything other than what they think will serve them politically. Mr. President, Republicans are at the table. We've been at the table. And now it's long past time for Democrats to get serious. How much worse do things have to get? How many more Americans have to suffer before Democrats do their jobs and work with Republicans to fund the government?
From Thune's perspective, this is about responsibility. He argues that securing the nation, especially at a time of heightened concerns over border control and global instability, should not be a partisan issue. His remarks suggest frustration with what Republicans see as delays, political maneuvering, or policy conditions being attached to essential funding bills. But on the other side, Democrats often argue that DHS funding shouldn't come without accountability or broader policy discussions, particularly around immigration reform and humanitarian considerations. This is where the real conflict lies. It's not just about money, it's about what that money represents and how it's used. What makes this standoff especially significant is the potential consequence of inaction. If lawmakers fail to reach an agreement, it could lead to partial government shutdowns or disruptions within DHS operations. That's something both parties publicly say they want to avoid, but continue to clash over how to prevent it. Thune's "enough is enough" moment is really a signal of escalating pressure. Republicans are trying to frame the debate as one of urgency and national security, while Democrats are pushing for a more comprehensive approach that includes policy reforms alongside funding. For everyday Americans, this might seem like just another political fight. But the outcome has real implications, from airport security lines to emergency response systems, and even how the country handles immigration at its borders. In the end, the question is whether both sides can move past political gridlock and find common ground. Because when it comes to national security, delays don't just stay in Washington, they ripple across the entire country. And as this debate continues, one thing is clear: the pressure is building, and the clock is ticking. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.